This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you, to the glory of God, and to the benefit of all those who listen. Okay, here we go. Praise God, and welcome to session number 7 of iPad for All Computing. We're going to be talking today about the Messages app, and it's very important that we continue discussing, because we started in the previous session discussing the split screen interface where there are two different things going on at the same time on your screen, and that's going to be true in the Messages app as well. It's another great example. We used the Settings app the other day, and hopefully you had a chance to play with the different settings. Again, we are in landscape mode. So let's take a look at the Messages app.
Sound button, more button, picture in picture displayed.
You can hear that speech, I'm sure, and we know that the Zoom window is displayed as picture in picture, and that is part of the iPad's incredible multitasking features too that we will be talking about later. But right now, we're going to open the Messages app.
Doc, messages, 2 unread messages. Double tap to open. Messages, message, text field is editing.
Okay. You'll remember from the prior session that when we open an app that uses the split screen method of displaying content, that we have the left side of the screen displaying the overall category, and then the right side displays the details of the content we've selected on the left. Now, we use the quadrant explanation to help you understand the top versus the bottom and so on, but basically we are divided into left and right. So in the Settings app, on the left we displayed the main settings categories, and then on the right we displayed whatever setting was selected. In the Messages app, now we're talking about text messages and iMessages and all of that. We're going to go over those details a little bit later. We are actually now displaying the list of message conversations on the left, and when you double tap one, it is selected, but again, there's no back button. It's just that the right side of the screen displays the conversation you've selected on the left. So let's look at the right side of the screen here.
Messages, your iPad read 7:22 a.m. Vertical apps message text field is editing.
You can see that I am in a message conversation that is selected on the left. So let's now touch the top left of our screen.
2:10 edit button, edit button.
And the first button we're going to find is the edit button. As we continue swiping to the right, we're going to see our list of conversations, and then we'll go into more depth about features and so on. But let's just get a handle on this split screen thing a little bit more. So the edit button that we see there on the very top left,
edit button,
is the button that allows us to multi-select various conversations and other things as well. It allows us to work with the overall conversations, to edit the name and photo that people see when we message them. Let's look at the options in this. I'll just double tap that.
Select messages button, edit pins button, set up name and photo button, show recently deleted button, dismiss context menu button.
Okay.
Edit.
And so you can see that we can show the recently deleted messages. Messages that you delete will stay in the recently deleted section for, I believe it's 30 days, but they tell you the number of days on each conversation that you've deleted, and you can recover them within that window of time. you see that select messages was one of the options. I told you that one. That's the multi-select, where you might want to delete, let's say, 5 or 6 conversations at one time. So you can select multiple conversations to work with. And then we had edit pins. Well, we're going to talk about pins. And of course, the name and photo option. So this is the edit button. Again, that's on the left-hand side of the screen. So when you tap it or double tap it with VoiceOver, it is affecting everything because it's on the left. So it's affecting, multiple conversations or what have you. As we continue swiping right, we're still on the left side of the screen, we move into the compose button, the search field, and then our list of conversations. And then look at that, I just happened to receive a message. I'll check that on another device, just in case that's a... okay, that looks like that actually... Oh, okay, that's fine. So
Lynn button.
we will see. I didn't let the notification read, but it's in my list of conversations on the left, so we'll get to that. But let's just go to that edit button.
Search edit button.
And then start swiping right.
Messages.
That's just the window title or app title.
Compose button.
As I told you, there's the compose button where you would create a brand new message, start a new conversation, and we'll look at that momentarily.
Search field, conversation, search field.
And I thought there would be a dictate button, but maybe it doesn't even show up because we're in a Zoom call. But there is a search field there, definitely. And so we can search for message conversations and so on. Now let's go to the right. We're going to see our list of pins. Now, it is possible to pin up to 9 of your favorite or most important conversations so that they always stay on the top of the list. And that's what I have done here. We've pinned 9 conversations. If I start swiping to the right, I'll show you some of them.
Conversations. Kylie, pinned.
My daughter.
Carson, pinned.
My son.
Jessica, pinned.
My wife.
Family chat, pinned.
And you get the idea.
Actions available.
And family chat is a group chat with my wife and kids. So you can get the idea. I have 9 pins. If I keep swiping past those...
Kit, Pat, Mega, Pat, Lynn, Dana, +1.
That's the one I just received a message in. That's a group. So I'll just double tap that so it becomes red. Okay. But look, now keep going. Let's touch the left again.
Family chat, pinned. Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate.
Now, that's another important bit of information. That means that there are rotor actions. Swipe up or down, right? That means that we're on the actions rotor. If you swipe up or down, let's listen.
Drag family chat. Delete. Open a new window. Hide alerts. Mark as unread. Unpin family chat. Activate default.
Now, I was swiping up to get those. Obviously, if we swipe down, they would be in the reverse order.
Unpin family, mark as a hide, activate default.
And of course, activate is just what you would normally get when you double tap it. It selects it. Now, notice that one of the options was unpin, because that's the family chat. It's already pinned. So you can see that if it's not already pinned, it would say pin. You can also long press. And those who we haven't taught the long press gesture yet, it is a double tap and hold with VoiceOver. For the non-VoiceOver users, it literally is just a long press, just a tap and hold. But with VoiceOver, you have to double tap and hold. Or remember, if you're not comfortable with a double tap and hold, you can also triple tap. But it's very important to practice that long press gesture. It's going to give you context options, in this case, for the conversation.
Unpin button. Preview.
Now,
Kylie Alexa.
Look there, we can swipe to the right.
Unpin. Mark as unread. Hide alerts. Open a new window. Delete button. Keyboard. Delete.
And that's
button.
it. Now, to get out of this, we're going to do our 2-finger scrub. You could just tap off of it, but... Okay, there we go. Now, you notice in this case, the long press menu had exactly the same things in it that the rotor did. In some cases, there may be differences. In some cases, the rotor may only have a couple options, and the long press menu may have more options. But it's always good to check both, right? It is always good to check both. And of course, if you're not a VoiceOver user, you don't have a rotor, so everything is long press for you. All right, so this is the list of conversations on the left. Now let's find one that we'd like to select here.
Kit, Molly, Pat, Fred, 2, Walter, Harp, Kayla Hetzel, 3.
Okay, so I can select this message here
Kayla Hetzel,
with a
okay.
with a cousin of mine, and I can double tap it. It reads the last.
Kayla Hetzel, okay. Actually, how is Wednesday?
Okay, so if I double tap that,
Message, text field, is editing.
now you notice what it did. In this app, it automatically moved me over to the right side of the screen. That did not happen in settings, if you recall. It actually was, in settings, it just selected the item and left us on the left-hand side. But in messages, it actually brought us over to the right side already. And that means that we're in the edit field for the conversation that we have already selected. Now, if I go back to the left, you'll see
Selected, Kayla Hetzel.
So you'll see that it's selected, but there's no back button or anything. It's just in this list of messages.
2, Pat, Lynn. Selected, Kayla, 3 plus.
See, it's just selected. So if you move your hand to the right-hand side, you're going to be in the conversation that you selected on the left. And the edit field is typically going to be near the bottom until you double tap on it. Then it's sort of up higher because the keyboard takes up the bottom of the screen. But if I right now have my iPad in a Magic Keyboard case, so it's not going to show the keyboard anyway. But let's touch the bottom right of the screen.
Messages. Message, text field, is editing, iMessage.
And see, you can see that that's where the edit field is for that particular conversation. Now, if I swipe to the left.
Apps, button, messages, your iMessage, okay. Actually, how is Kayla Hetzel? I think I can do whatever except Friday.
Okay, so you see, that is going backwards now through the conversation that I've selected on the left. So the whole conversation is open. I can keep swiping. And if I touch the top of the top right of the screen, you're going to see that we go to the beginning of the conversation.
Kayla button.
And that button allows me to get more info. That's the person's name with whom I was messaging. But if I double tap on that, that's going to bring up a lot of additional options, and we'll look at that in a moment. And then if I swipe right, what it's going to do is it's going to jump to the conversation, but it's not going to start at the top because this conversation could be very, very long. I don't typically delete my conversations, and so this conversation, I'm sure, actually goes back years. But if I do, in fact, start swiping right, it'll put me somewhere near the bottom.
FaceTime button, messages. Today, 9:15 a.m.
Okay,
Heading
so
level 1.
Brought me to the first message from today.
Your iMessage. Oh, okay, awesome. Kayla Hetzel, I have a meeting Tuesday.
So, see, that's where it brought me. There's more messages if I swipe to the left, or if I three-finger swipe, you can do your scroll gesture, and I can three-finger swipe up or down. I can also use the vertical scroll bar, which is down here near the edit field.
Your iPad delivered. Vertical scroll bar, 7 pages, 100%.
You can swipe up or down on that to go earlier in the conversation. Now, again, our aim is not to teach voiceover here because we did teach that in the voiceover class. So our primary focus is to teach you the features and functionality of these apps, but I really did want to orient you a little bit to this app from a split screen perspective so that you can understand how it is set up. So again, what we see on the right is the conversation that is selected on the left. So let's select another one on the left. Let's go here.
Conversations plus Walter 2 4 Pat Lynn Amy White. I will get it copied and drop off at the campus on my way home today. Then you will have it for tomorrow or Thursday. Grinning face emoji. 2:16 p.m.
That one just came in a little bit ago, and I'm going to double tap on it. Notice, let's see where I am if I just swipe once to the left.
Megan, selected, Amy White.
Okay, so in this case, it didn't move me to the right, but you notice the conversation I chose is selected, so now I can touch the right-hand side.
Messages, Amy White. I will get it copied and drop off at the campus on my way home today.
Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to just give her a tap back. Now, a tap back is something that allows us to quickly give a thumbs up or any kind of emoji we want. Really, we can tap back with anything, but it doesn't create a separate message. It just gives a little nod, basically, to this one. So I'm going to use the rotor. You can also long press, but I'm going to use the rotor on the message that I want to tap back to.
Amy liked. I will get it copied and drop off at the campus on my way home today.
Okay, let's swipe down with one finger.
Tap back.
There's tap back. Let's double tap.
Reply.
Whoops, I didn't.
Tap
I
back.
swiped it and that said reply. We could do that too, but we're going to tap back.
Tap back bigger. Heart. Button. Thumbs up. Button. Thumbs down. Ha ha. Exclamation mark. Question mark.
So
button.
there's your basic 6.
Double tap to react to message.
Right, reactions or tap backs. There's your basic 6 of them. Thumbs up, thumbs down, laugh, exclaim, question mark.
Exclamation question. Ha ha. Button. Thumbs down. Thumb. Heart.
And the
button.
heart. We're
Double
going
tap to react to
we're going to
message.
actually thumbs up, but I want to just show you if we keep swiping, you can actually find recent emojis and then you can search for any emoji.
Thumb. Ha ha. Exclamation question. Face with tears of joy emoji. Red heart emoji. Face with heart-shaped eyes emoji. Unamused face emoji. Okay hand emoji. Smiling face emoji. Message. I will get it copied. Add custom emoji reaction. But add custom message.
So you can search for other emojis there too, but it has some listed, but we're going to go back all the way over to that thumbs up.
Tap up. Thumbs down. Thumbs up. Button.
And just double tap.
Double tap. Message. Text field. Messages. Amy liked. I will get it copied and drop off at the campus on my way home today. Then you will have it for tomorrow or Thursday. Grinning face emoji. You liked this? 2 6.
See, it said you liked this. I went ahead and liked that. And so I actually don't really think that's enough. In this case, I'm going to also send her a thank you. So we'll swipe to the right.
Vertical apps button. Message. Text insertion point at end.
And I'll type thank you very much.
Cap H cap space space appreciate period it.
Notice when I started typing the word appreciate, it already knew what I wanted to say, so it filled in the rest of the word and VoiceOver spoke it. If it had been wrong, I could have kept typing, but since it was right, there was no reason why I should keep typing. I can just do a period or a space or an exclamation mark or whatever punctuation I want. Now we'll swipe to the right.
Send button.
And hit send.
Send using iMessage. Double send message. Send. Dictate. Dimmed button.
And if we swipe to the left, we can see that we've typed that in there.
Message. Apps. Messages. Your Amy liked. I will. Your iMessage. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. 2:24 p.m. Delivered.
And
heading
see,
level 3.
We can even see that the message was delivered. Now you'll notice that this said send using iMessage. So let's just take a brief moment to discuss the different types of messages that we might have when we use the Messages app. So the basic categories are iMessage, and then SMS or MMS. Those are kind of in the same overall category. And then there's a new one called RCS. So these letters might not mean much to you. It kind of, a lot of lingo and so forth. But let me describe the basic difference. iMessage is Apple device to Apple device. Okay, so if I use an iPhone or an iPad or a Mac or something, or even my Apple Watch, to send a message to another Apple user who will receive that message on his or her iPad or iPhone or whatever, that will typically be an iMessage. iMessage is Apple to Apple. And that one should be easy to remember because of the I, right? It makes sense. Now, if you can see, iMessages that you get are denoted with blue message bubbles, blue colored bubbles. The green bubbles are the non-iMessage, and they can be SMS, MMS, or RCS. That, again, is a lot of lingo, but you don't necessarily need to remember all of the details. It's just that iMessage is Apple to Apple, and that one is good to know because you have a lot more features available to you when you use iMessage. Now, you don't have to choose. People say, well, how do I make sure I'm sending it as an iMessage? You don't. You just choose the recipient, and then the device will choose for you the best means of sending to that person. And you say, well, I was sending to an Apple user, but it showed up as a green bubble. Well, that could mean a couple of things. It could mean that for some reason the person you're sending to has disabled iMessage. It could mean that you don't have a good internet connection because iMessage actually requires cellular data or Wi-Fi. And if it doesn't have cellular data or Wi-Fi, it's going to default back to one of the other like SMS standards. So there are a couple reasons that a message to an Apple user could potentially show up as a green bubble, but usually they're blue bubbles, and VoiceOver will just make the distinction. Like when you're in the edit field here,
Your app message text field is editing iMessage.
see, it'll say iMessage, and it even said your iMessage back here.
App Amy liked your iMessage.
See, it tells you. If I were to choose one that's not an iMessage,
Pat. Megan selected. Pat.
okay, this one's not. So listen to this.
Messages. Pat. Messages. Tap to look. Messages. Pat. Your text message.
See?
Pat. What message? Red to vertical. App message. Text field is editing. Text message bullet RCS. Insert.
So it actually tells me that it's a non-iMessage. It says text message, and that one actually says RCS. So the differences between RCS, SMS, and MMS, I don't really know as it's beneficial to you that I go through all of them. I may forget some anyway because, I'm a work in progress, and it could be that I don't remember all of them. But also, I just think it's overwhelming, right? I could list 10 different things for you, and then you say, well, what did he say? Because it's just, too much. The biggest thing I want you to remember is that iMessage is Apple to Apple, and that's going to be the best if it's available, because it'll have no limitations on character count, on files. Like there are limitations on file size, but they're very high limits, so you can send any kind of attachment, not only photos and videos, but audio, PDFs, pages, documents, anything you want to send through the Messages app basically can be sent to another Apple user. Now again, there are file size limitations, and then we would talk about, as we get on in this course, other ways of sending larger files. Primarily iCloud Drive collaboration is the best way. There's also Mail Drop. There's other things we'll cover. But you definitely have a lot higher threshold for the iMessage option. And in addition to that, you have a lot of other features that you can use, like recording audio right in the message, scheduling a message to be sent at a later time, use even sending and receiving money, and we'll go over some of this here later on today. So that's your best, if it's available, is the iMessage. Again, that's only going to work for other Apple users. If they are, let's say, Android users, then what's it going to be? Is it going to be RCS? Is it going to be SMS? Well, that depends on their device. Some Android devices only support SMS and MMS, the older standards. A lot of the newer or higher end Android devices, your Google Pixel, your Samsung Galaxy, these kinds of devices do support RCS, or Rich Communications Standard, or System, I believe it is. And that is going to be a lot closer to iMessage. It still doesn't have all the features that iMessage does, but it has a lot more. It's going to be a lot more similar of an experience. There are a lot of things you cannot do if it's SMS or MMS. In fact, SMS even has the character limit. It's the one that, like, if you send long messages, it's going to truncate it. The recipient will get like 4 messages, to equal whatever, was said, or that kind of thing. And very few attachments in MMS and SMS. I mean, you can do photos and videos, but not a lot of other things. And they're just, very, very basic. If you have even one SMS or MMS user in a group conversation, it severely limits what the group can do. You can't even name your group conversations. But if it's RCS, RCS will allow, although the documentation doesn't always seem to support this, but it does seem like RCS will allow you to name your group conversations, and of course certainly iMessage does. So there's a lot of benefit to RCS if in fact the Android user's device supports it. And for our Apple users that maybe don't have iPad OS 18 yet, for some reason you didn't update, make sure you do, because you have to have at least version 18 in order to support RCS on your end as well. And then the carrier has to support it, and there's a lot of factors, but more and more Android users are able to support RCS. So when you hear the edit field, it will always tell you what the what the message standard is. We had a message today come in from DoorDash. We ordered lunch, and I think that one was probably SMS. Let's take a look here.
Pat, a Pat, 2, 4, Walter, Callahan, 3, plus 1, 2, 0, 1. Revert app message, text message, SMS, text.
Yeah, that's just SMS. And notice that I don't have that phone number stored, so it
Messages, report junk button.
gives me the option of even reporting it as junk, which it wasn't. It was just letting me know the food was delivered or what have you. So really, you can choose what you do with these, but you do have the option of reporting them as junk if they are not legitimate. Now, let's take a look at some more of the options that we have. Let me show you how to compose a brand new message, because you don't always need to compose a new message, right? If I want to add on to an existing conversation, I can just open that conversation. So, here's a conversation with my son.
Callahan's Pat, family, Jessica Carson, pinned. Message, text field, is editing.
And I can...
At Carson Wade Albrecht, I'm your iMessage, read yesterday, heading left, your iMessage, okay, 10, read message, text field, is editing.
All right, and I'll just send him a message. He's actually in the other room, but...
Period, test, app message, text field, is editing, just doing a class test.
Okay, just doing a class test. I'm going to send that message to him, and I will tell you ahead of time that when you send a message, you have 2 minutes to unsend it if you sent it in error, and you'll do that by long pressing on the message that you just sent. You also can edit. You can make changes to a message that you've sent up to 5 times within a 15-minute, I believe it is, time period. So I'm going to do that. I said in this message right now...
Message, text field, is editing, just doing a class test.
All right, just doing a class test. I'm going to change the wording of that. But let's send it.
Send, but send message, send, dictate, apps, today, your iMessage, just doing a class test.
I don't like the way I said that. Let's long press it.
Reply, but add sticker, edit, button, undo send, button.
We're going to say edit.
Edit, button, text field, is editing, just doing a class test, in test period class A.
Let's take the word class
alpha,
out here.
Space, class, selection A, T, E, T.
For class.
S, period.
And send.
Carson Wade, your iMess, app, dictate, dim, Carson, your reputable, text field, send edit, button.
Notice.
Cancel edit.
There's
button.
a cancel button to the left.
Text, send edit. Button.
Send edits to the right.
Message, text field, is editing, iMessage.
Now let's
insertion,
listen.
App, your iMessage, just doing a test for class. 2:34 p.m.
Notice to the
Actions,
right.
delivered, bullet, edited, button.
It says delivered, and it says that it was edited. So you can see that we can make up to 5, well, I told you, up to 5 changes within, I think it's a 20-minute time period, actually. It's 15 or 20. I'd have to look in the documentation again. But there is a 2-minute limit on completely unsending the message. So you would want to be quick about that if you realize that you sent it in error. But we just showed you how to add to an existing conversation. I also did that with the other person a few minutes ago for you, so you got to see how that works. Now, if we want to compose a message, we could hit the compose button on the left here.
Edit, messages, compose. 2, text field, is editing, character mode, insertion.
Now notice,
cancel, button.
To the left is the cancel button. We are already in the to field.
2, text field, is editing, character mode.
And to the right of that to field is
add contact, button.
An add contact button. So one way to compose a message to an existing contact is to hit the add contact button, and it will bring up your entire list of contacts. You can select the contact card, and it's that easy. But that's not actually the way I prefer to do it. What I prefer to do is to type the first few letters of the person's name that I want to send to. So if, for example, I want to send a message, let's say I'm going to send a message to my mom, and it'll be another test message. Her name is Kathy, so I'm going to start typing her name.
C-A-H, Mom. 7
Now
1.
you heard it already brought up, Mom. But if I type, what I want to do is show you where those results are. They are above the on-screen keyboard, up higher up. I'm going to look on the right side.
Results. Kathy Volbrecht, Carson Way, selected. Mom. 717.
There it is. It said it's selected. That's already the one. But there are other choices. The next one was a group message with her and my son, and I don't know.
Kathy Volbrecht, Carson Wade Volbrecht, Jessica Volbrecht, and Kylie.
Okay, so that was all of us, and all 5 of us. And then if you, whichever one of these you want, you just double tap it. So let's go back to the one that's just her.
Selected. Mom. 7.
Now I'm going to assume, I didn't let it read, but I'm going to assume that that is the correct way to message her, the correct phone number for her iPhone. But let's suppose I didn't want to send to her iPhone. Let's suppose that I listened to that and it's not the way I want to contact her. I can swipe up or down on her name here.
Expand options.
And notice
Activate default. Expand options.
expand options.
Activate.
Or just activate, which is the default. Expand options will give me all of her contact info. So if you ever, start typing somebody's name and you get the correct name, but you say, oh, that's not the way I want to, I want to use their email address for iMessage, or I want to use their work phone or something. Just swipe up or down until you hear expand options and then double tap. But we're just going to double tap on her name regularly.
Conversations.
Now, very important, we're still in the to field. So if I want to send a message to a second person in the same conversation, create a group, all I have to do is start typing again. Just repeat the process, type the first few letters of the next name, and choose the result above. I can also use a phone number. But let's go to the right near the top and look what we have here.
Kylie, new iMessage.
There it is.
Cancel button to text field is editing.
See, you notice you're still in the to field, so if we needed to type more names, we absolutely could do that. But go to the right.
Kathy Volbrecht, +1, add contact button.
And there's the add contact button, but she's already in there.
Kathy Volbrecht.
If we swipe up or down,
show alternate addresses. Activate. Show all active.
So that's kind of like the expand, right? Show alternate addresses. Now, the interesting thing is I wanted to do it this way to show you how to create a new conversation, but actually this is not a new conversation because I never delete my conversations, basically. So I have been messaging with my mom. So if you look on the lower right part of the screen, to the left of the edit field,
message, apps, but messages, your iMessage, okay, I will call soon, read yesterday, heading.
See, notice that there is an existing conversation already in progress. Let's go to the right.
Vertical scroll bar, apps button.
There's the apps button that would allow us to pick some of the additional features that we might want to do. And I'll go ahead and use one of those. But let's type
message, iMessage, text field, insertion point at end. Period, class.
and listen.
Message, text field, is editing. This is just a test message for my class. Character mode, insertion, send, button.
To the right is send.
Send using iMessage.
And it
double
will
tap and hold to add effect.
Okay, and notice it said double tap and hold to add effect. Well, we didn't do it that way yet. We already did regular send with a double tap, but notice it said double tap and hold to add effect. Listen to that again.
Send button. Send using iMessage. Double tap and hold to add effect.
Well, we might as well show you the effects. So let's long press on that send button. Now what we have...
keyboard, send, message, keycap, if, it text animation,
Okay.
button. Dictation.
There's actually a lot of other choices here.
Set dictation. Send with effect.
Before we get to the send with effect menu that popped up, I'll just mention a few of them.
If cap I if it.
There are some quick type suggestions for the next word that I might want to type because I said this is a test for class. It thinks I might want to say I, if, or it. So we could choose one of those to immediately have it inserted. This was not in the long press menu. You didn't have to long press to get these. And notice this.
Text animation button.
All right, I'll show you that soon. Text animation. But let's keep going to the right.
Dictation dimmed button.
Well, we can't dictate because we're on Zoom.
Send with effect.
All right, here's the menu that appeared when we did the long press gesture. Let's go to the right.
Selected. Bubble. Button. Screen. Button. 2 of 2.
All right, the first thing to understand is there are two kinds of effects that we can add this way from the long press menu. Bubble effects or screen effects. The bubble effects will simply have an impact on the message bubble that we send itself. The screen effect is like a full screen message effect. So I'll show you both of them. I think we'll probably use a screen effect, but I'll show you the bubble effects first. Bubble was already selected, you notice.
Selected. Bubble. Button. 1 of 2.
So if I now swipe to the right, what I get is,
Screen. Button.
well, we gotta
2 of
go
2.
past that, but
Slam. Button. Loud. Button. Gentle. Button. Invisible ink. Button. Close. Button.
and then you can close and not do that. So you have slam, loud, gentle, and invisible ink. And each one of them, if you double tap it, it will give a better description, or a more thorough description, I should say, so you know what it's actually going to do. But I think from experience, like I think it's the loud that rattles like an alarm clock. Like the bubble expands and rattles and then shrinks back down. There are different ones that do. Like the invisible ink is actually the person receiving the message has to swipe the ink away with their finger to uncover it so they can read it, and then it covers back up. And if you receive one like that, VoiceOver tells you what to do. I think you just have to double tap on it now to reveal it, and it reads it to you. But VoiceOver will tell you. It does work with VoiceOver. So these are the 4 bubble effects that we can use. Now, if I want to change that and use a screen effect, go back to the left.
Gent. Loud. Slam. Screen. Button.
And
2 of 2.
We'll double tap that.
Selected. Send with effect.
Now, the way you navigate these screen effects is different, because it's giving you like a preview here, and so they're all on separate pages. So you remember the page turn gesture? It's a 3-finger swipe to the left to go to the next page, and a 3-finger swipe to the right to go back to the previous page. Let's go ahead and swipe right and look at the first one.
Bubble. Selected. Screen. Button. 2 of 2. Echo. Copies of the message bubble echo across the screen, expanding and shrinking as they rise and swirl, then disappear.
Now notice if I swipe right,
Send with echo. Button.
you can send with echo. If I swipe right again,
Close. Button.
close, and one more time.
Page 1 of 8. Echo. Adjustable.
And that's another way of changing the page. You don't need to go to that, because you could just do your 3-finger swipe, but you also could swipe up or down with 1 finger on this value adjuster. It's a page selector, like on the home screen. And you notice there are 8 different effects that they have. So the first one is echo. We will go
Echo. Copies of the message.
and we'll just do a 3-finger swipe to the left.
Page 2 of 8. Spotlight.
Now let's swipe off of that and back onto it to hear what it says about it.
Send with spotlight. The conversation darkens, then a bright spotlight of white light illuminates your message as particles of dust float through the light.
Okay, let's actually use that one. We won't go through all of them. So we'll just swipe to the right.
Send with spotlight. Button.
And we'll send it with a spotlight effect.
Send with full screen effect. The conversation darkens, then a bright spotlight of white light illuminates your message as particles of dust float through the light. Your iMessage. This is just a test message for my class. Conversations.
Now, I'm assuming that you might have heard the little noise that Spotlight makes also. They each have their own little sound effect also, or at least some of them do. And then that's how you send a message with an effect also. So we showed you now how to create a new conversation, how to add recipients, how to send with effects. Now let's make another new message, but it's really not a new message, because I'm going to find an existing conversation here with my with the other instructors. So let's
Walt Plot Joseph T. The TTJ instructor chat. Hey guys.
Okay, that's a message I sent to them the other day, but it says TTJ instructor chat. Now I want to tell you something about group messages. With group messages, well, let me back up and preface this by saying you'll notice when I sent to just one individual recipient, my mom, that even though I attempted to create a new conversation, it actually added my message on to the existing conversation, right? It appends your message to the same conversation when it's a single recipient. With a group, that's not the case. With a group, you can actually create multiple new conversations with the same group. And you say, well, why would anyone want to do that? Well, because it allows you to name your conversations. And this way, maybe we have one group conversation about an upcoming birthday party or dinner we're going to go to or something. And then maybe we have a separate group conversation about our summer vacation to the beach this year. And yet maybe another separate group conversation with the same people about a work project that we're collaborating on or something. And so each one of them can have a separate conversation name for the sake of keeping things organized. But we are going to go ahead and use an existing one here with the instructors.
The TTJ instructor chat. Hey guy, message, text field is editing.
All right.
iMessage.
I double tapped on it. Notice we're already in the edit field. So let's do a message to this group.
App Saturday. Sarah post your iMessage app message. Text field is editing.
And let's say, hey guys, just testing.
Period.
Okay.
Testing.
Now, I want to do some other kinds of things with my text here. So let's select the words just testing. And I will not use the keyboard. I will use the on-screen because we haven't taught you how to do this with the keyboard yet. I want to give you the same experience. So let's go to Words.
Words.
Go back up.
Test just.
And let's use this is voiceover stuff, right? Text selection in the rotor.
Text selection.
And swipe down.
Word selection.
And select just testing.
Just selected. Testing selected.
Now I'll turn the rotor away from text selection.
Words.
And I'll swipe to the right.
Send. Keyboard. Text animation. Button.
And let's animate the words just testing. Double tap here.
Text bold text. Switch button not selected. Italicized text. Switch button not selected.
We can bold or italicize.
Double tap to toggle setting. Underline text.
Underline.
Switch button. Strike through text. Big. Switch button not select. Small. Switch shake. Switch nod. Switch explode. Switch ripple. Switch bloom. Switch chiller. Switch keyboard.
Okay.
Button.
Look at all those choices. I'm going to choose bloom in honor of spring that's coming. Praise God. We got nice warm weather today. And
bloom.
we're excited
Switch
about
button
that.
not selected. Selected.
Okay. So now
Rip bloom. Switch button selected.
it's
Double
selected.
tap to toggle setting.
Let's go back to the left.
Strike through bold text. Switch button not
You
selected.
can see that's not selected.
Double tap to toggle small shake nod explode ripple switch bloom switch button selected.
Good.
Dictation text
Now
animation.
what we need
Dismiss
to do
pop-up.
is just tap off of it.
Activate to dismiss pop-up window.
Yep, you heard it say dismiss pop-up.
Text animation.
You just
button.
tap off of it a little, up higher. And
Chiller switch button dismiss pop-up.
double tap. Now,
Message. One effect. Text field is editing. Just testing. Selected. Word mode.
now,
Use the rotor to access send button.
we'll send that.
Sent message. Sent dictate dimmed button.
Go back over here.
App messages. Your iMessage. Hey guys, just testing. 2:50 p.m. One effect.
And
Actions available.
it tells
Use
us-
the rotor to access text effects. More content available.
it tells us that there's one effect, and the rotor even,
More content. Text effects. Just testing. Bloom.
see, when,
Actions available.
So,
More content available.
I could even use the rotor to find the existing effect and what it was. So that's how we send message effects. Different kinds of effects depending on what we want. You have the bubble effects, the screen effects, you have text effects, which are like the bold, italicized, the bloom, the jitter, all these ripple. Now, there are certain phrases that we can type that will automatically trigger text effects as well. And that would be like the phrase, for example, like happy birthday or happy or like congratulations or something. So if I just type the word congratulations,
Caps NGRATS.
you have to type it exactly that way. If you put extra things in it, it may not do it. But we'll just say congratulations and we'll send it and watch what happens.
Sarah Potop to
We'll go back here so you can see it.
Keyboard send button send full screen effect. Multicolored confetti cascades from above. Your iMessage. Congratulations. Dictate dimmed button.
And now notice I never put that effect on it, but it automatically applied that effect because of the word that I sent. So you can do that with different things. Happy birthday, happy new year. There's, I think, there's a ton of them actually. And so that's how the automatic effects work, but certainly it's good to know how to manually add effects also. Now, of course, we can use SIRI to send messages, and we can also record audio into our messages, but I can't show you that with this device because it's in Zoom. Maybe I'll show you that with another device, but there are other things we can do, like let's type a sentence here.
Period. Keyboard. Send message. Text field is editing. Here is yet another test. Character mode. Insertion point at end.
All right, here is yet another test. And notice that, let's see, the current time is 2:52 Eastern. Let's say I don't want that message to come in until 3 o'clock. So this is one of my favorite features that was introduced this year. It's called Send Later. And you can schedule a message to be sent pretty much at any time. The messages are stored in iCloud, so your device does not even have to be turned on at the appointed time. And you can edit or cancel the message once you've scheduled it to be sent. I use this almost every day. Maybe I have something I want to tell my wife or the kids before they go to work, but I'm a night person, so I'm still awake at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They're going to be getting up at 6 when I might be asleep. So, in fact, usually am. So basically, I want to send the message at like 2 or 3, but I don't want to wake them up. I want them to get the message in the morning so that they'll see it around maybe 6:15 a.m. So I use the schedule option, right? And there are other reasons that, I use it as well. But let's schedule this message we just typed.
App message. Text field is editing. Here is yet another test.
Let's
Character
just
mode.
have it just a few minutes later. Let's have it come in at 3. So now the schedule option or the send later option is under apps. And that is a plus sign for those who are looking at their screen.
Apps button.
There it is. We'll go ahead and double tap that.
Camera.
Let's look at some of the apps.
Double tap and hold, then drag to reorder menu items.
Yeah,
Actions available.
You can reorder these, but okay. Let's look at some of the ones we have. So camera is first. So if I want to take a picture and send it right away, that's how I do that. Or a video.
Photos.
Now that photos option, that is the library. So instead of taking a photo or video right now, I want to maybe, pick an existing photo or video in my library and send it. So that's the Photos app. Next,
Stickers.
Stickers. We can choose from a variety of stickers that we might want to include in our message.
Apple Cash.
Apple Cash. That's how we can send and receive money in our message conversations.
Audio.
Audio. That's how you record audio into the message. Notice that is not to be confused with sending an audio attachment. It is entirely possible to create, excuse me, to create an audio recording, maybe in voice memos, maybe in GarageBand or somewhere else, and assuming that the file size is okay, you can attach that audio recording to your message. But when we see audio here, this is like an audio message that I want to record right into the conversation, and the person that receives it can listen to it, and then it expires after like 2 minutes once they've listened, or they can choose to keep it forever, but it's their choice, but typically it will expire. So that's a different kind of audio than just attaching an audio, right? You can do both. But anyway, let's keep going.
Send later.
Send later.
Double tap and hold.
That's the one we're going to use here in a moment. And let's just look.
Genmoji. Image Playground.
Okay, those are two Apple Intelligence features. If your device supports Apple Intelligence, Genmoji allows you to use words to create your own emoji. Image Playground allows you to use words to create your own images, and then either way they can be sent in the message conversation.
Store.
And there's the
Double
store.
Tap and
We can go to the App Store for more message apps. There are already more here if we keep swiping.
Hashtag images. Bible. Digital Touch. Fandango. Location. Memoji. Music. Open Table. Paramount Plus. Starbucks Gift. Yelp. Zoom.
Now, some of these are third-party apps. Zoom,
Yelp.
Yelp,
Starbucks Gifts.
Starbucks, and Bible, and Fandango, and a bunch of them were third-party, but a bunch of them were not actually third-party. Music, of course, that That's Apple Music. Digital Touch, that's an Apple iMessage app that allows you to actually create little like drawings to send in your message, or you can, for example, like hold two fingers on the screen to send your heartbeat. And there are different, it gives you the list of commands that you can, gestures that you can use, but that's Digital Touch. Another one that I saw there is Location. You can send your current location. That's not a third-party app, that's built in, right?
Open music memo location.
Oh, and Memoji, of course, that's built in. If you have a device with the True Depth camera, so for the iPad, basically, it's only the iPad Pro. For the iPhone, it's I guess all of them now. They have the ability to create Animoji and Memoji, and those are like basically with Animoji, you're taking your facial expression, like it's actually going to record your facial expression. You can wink, you can stick out your tongue, you can smile, all these different kinds of things, and it's going to put your facial expression onto for example, let's say like a dog or a cat or a monkey or a chicken or a robot or something. There's a bunch of different animojis. And then Memoji is an extension of that kind of, and it allows you to create your own characters, and you can choose like the hair color, the eye color. You can choose like whether there's any like facial hair or piercings or different, like a whole bunch of different options that you can pick with Memoji. And you can create it to make it look like you or someone else. And then, again, it's you actually record your facial expression and it goes on to that Memoji. So that's what those are, but you have to have a Face ID device in order to be able to do that. Now, again, we wanted to do send later, but I just wanted to show you some of the other options that are available because there's no possible way I could demo every one of these things in one single session or probably even in two, right? But let's just do the send later. Swipe back to the left.
Fandat, Digital Bible, hashtag store, image play, gen mode, send later.
And we'll double tap.
Double tap and hold, then drag to reorder. Today, picker item,
All right.
adjustable.
You have multiple pickers. The first one is what day do you want this to send? Well, we're going to leave it set for today. Now, it is already 3, I think, or it's 2:59 because I spent some time talking and showing you some things there. So we're going to send this at 3:05 now instead of 3. So we're going to leave today alone because it's not, we don't want to do tomorrow or something. We want to keep it today. Let's go to the right.
7 o'clock, selected, picker item.
All right, it wants to send it at 7 o'clock, I guess, tonight.
00 minutes, PM.
Yep. All right, go back to the hour.
7 o'clock.
Go down to 3.
3 o'clock, 3 of 12,
Go
selected.
Go to the right.
00 minutes.
We'll make it go to 05. Swipe up.
01, 02, 05 minutes.
To the right. One more time to the right.
PM, selected.
That's
picker
your
item, adjustable.
And that's your AM versus PM. You can just swipe down.
PM, 2 of PM.
And it can't. There is no way to make it 3 a.m. because 3 a.m. today already passed. But if it were available, then you could do that. So now let's just check them out. Go back to the left.
Oh, today, picker item, 3 o'clock, selected. 01 minute, selected. 05 minutes, PM.
Okay, I somehow messed that up. Go back again.
05 PM, 05 minute, 3 o'clock, today, 3 o'clock, 05 PM.
It looks good. Let's swipe to the left to the send button.
03 today, picker item.
And notice we can't. So what do? Well, we simply tap off of this to dismiss it, or 2-finger scrub if you'd rather. Now notice the edit field is here.
Message, here is yet another test, text field.
Swipe to the
Double tap to it.
Swipe to the left.
Today, 3:05 PM, button.
And it shows you that it's now set for 3:05 p.m. So just swipe to the right.
Send, button. Send message, send, dictate, dim.
Notice
button.
it made a little sound. So if I swipe back to the left now.
Today, app messages, your iMessage. Here is yet another test. Today, 3:05 PM, edit, button.
And notice there's an edit button there.
Send message, but edit time, delete message, dismiss context menu, button.
I'm going to dismiss. If you don't want to send it, you can delete it. You can edit the time. You can send it immediately. If you actually want to edit the context of it, you have to go to the message itself and long press, just as if you had already sent it.
Today,
But look,
send later, your iMessage, congratulations. 2:51 p.m.
That was the message we sent a little bit ago, and then if you swipe to the right,
Send later, heading level 1. Today, 3:05 p.m. Edit button. Your iMessage. Here is yet another test.
and that's
3:05 p.m.
That's going to be
Actions of
like that's scheduled to send, in just a few minutes. And so we will actually get to see that happen. Now, let me show you another thing that you may want to know about how to do in a message conversation, and that is how to name the conversation or other details about the conversation, maybe adding people. So again, to create a group, you simply compose a new message and then type the first recipient if you want to type the first few letters, and then select it up above like we did, and then type the second one, the third one, however many you want. Or you can use the add contact button. That's just not the way I prefer to do it, but it can be done if everybody's in your, or the person you want to add is in your contacts. Up at the top here, near the right, we're going to see the name of this conversation.
TTJ Instructor Chat button.
And if we swipe right,
FaceTime button. Messages. Your Tuesday.
okay, so we got a FaceTime button,
Your iMessage. TTJ Instructor Chat button.
and we've got a button with the name. If you haven't named the conversation yet, it would just tell you, like maybe it would say like 4 people, or it might read the names of the people in the conversation. But notice to the right we have a FaceTime button. This is one of my favorite ways to start a group FaceTime call. It's not the only way. There are other ways to do it, but it's actually my favorite way because I can be in the message conversation and I can say, hey guys, everybody good to start the FaceTime? They say, yep, okay. So I'll just go up there to that FaceTime button. So you can immediately create a group FaceTime call by just double tapping on that FaceTime button. It's going to give you the choice of audio or video, so you can do either one. But let's actually go
Face TTJ Instructor Chat button.
to that button with the conversation name, or it might say the number of people or the names of the people, whatever. Let's double tap that.
Done button.
Okay, immediately there's a done button, so you know how to get out of this. Let's go to the right.
Conversation details. TTJ Instructor Chat. Change name and photo button.
And there's the button that has the change name and photo. So if you've never named this conversation, you can go in there and give it a name, or we could change the existing name. You could add a photo to represent this conversation as well. Now go to the right.
Call button.
Again, that's another way to start a FaceTime call within the group.
Video button.
There's a way to start a video FaceTime call within the group.
Mail button.
There's a way to send an email to everybody in the group.
2 people. Cliff, Sarah.
That's
Actions available.
okay, there's actions available.
Remove. Activate default.
All right, go to the right.
Share my location button. Show and shared with you. Switched button on. Content shared in this conversation will appear in selected apps. Hide alerts. Switched button off. Leave this conversation dimmed. Links heading.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff to talk about there. So share my location allows people in the conversation to see your existing location. That's your current location.
Show and share my location button.
Okay, that was that one. The next one.
Show and shared with you. Switched button on.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle setting.
What happens here is there's a feature called shared with you. If one of us in this conversation sent, let's say, an Apple News article or a Safari web page or something else like that, then what would happen is we could find that content directly in the app. That saves you having to go back through your messages conversation. You ever get somebody that like sends you an article in Apple News or a website or something, and weeks later you think to yourself, now when did they send that to me? I want to find that again, but I didn't bookmark it. I didn't, I know they sent it a couple weeks ago. Oh, I got to scroll through this conversation. Oh my, and eventually maybe you find it. But if you have this shared with you option enabled, whenever you open Safari or Apple News or whatever app it was that was used, it will actually have a shared with you section in it. And you can find everything that's been shared with you. And so it would show you in this case that it was from the TTJ instructor team and it was a link to an article or whatever it might have been. You don't have to go back to the messages conversation. You can do that directly in the News app or the Safari app, or there are other apps that support shared with you as well. So that's what that option is. All right, let's go on.
Content shared in this conversation will appear in selected apps.
It just tells you.
Pins will always show.
Notice pins.
Learn more. Link.
Notice pins will always show. Remember I said you can pin your favorite and most important conversations so they always stay on the top? I have 9 of them. That's the maximum you can have is 9, and I already have 9 pins. Showed you some of those. If you have a pinned conversation, they're always going to show in shared with you, apparently. All right, going on to the right.
Hide alerts. Switched button. Off.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle setting.
This is useful for those times that you are in a messages conversation that just gets very verbose and you might be busy and you don't want to read everybody's back and forth reply. You can turn on hide alerts. That was also available, if you'll recall, in the long press menu and in the rotor when we tapped on the conversation. But this will allow you to not get a notification every time somebody sends a message to the group. If they want to notify you, they can mention you by name, either with or without a hashtag, the number sign, right? And then that will identify you, and it will send you a notification if you're mentioned. But the basic idea here is you can hide alerts so you don't get a notification every time somebody is messaging in that conversation. You can always, you can always reactivate. You can turn on, it'll say, I think it says show alerts then, and then you can do that. This is also important to remember if you ever accidentally do it. And I think sighted users will see a little like a moon or something near the conversation. But somebody say, well, I'm not getting notifications from such and such a conversation. People are muting, are messaging me. People are messaging me, but it's like it's muted. It's not getting me the notifications. I don't know that I'm getting messages. Well, you probably accidentally hid the alerts. That's probably what happened. So then you can check it. You can tap on the conversation, swipe up and down, and if it says show alerts, double tap that, and that's how you get them back. But here's the button.
Hide alerts. Switched button. Off.
It's another way to do that.
Leave this conversation. Dimmed.
And if you completely want to remove yourself from the conversation, that's an option too. Now let's go back to the left.
Video call. Change name and TTJ instructor chat. Done. Button. Done. J call. Video. Mail. But 2 people. Cliff. Sarah.
I think I can double tap that.
2 people. Cliff. Cliff Miller Sr. Sarah Potok. Button. Add contact.
Yep.
Share my location.
And notice what it does. It brings up the individual list of people now. It expands it, and I can see each one.
Sarah Cliff Miller Sr.
I can swipe up and down on him.
Remove. Activate.
So if I want to remove somebody from the conversation,
Sarah, remove. Activate.
I can do that. And then notice that
Add contact.
there's a button there to add a person to the conversation, so we can add even more people to this group if we want to do that. And when we're all finished,
Dismiss
we
conversation.
can either dismiss the pop-up
Screen recording and dismiss pop-up.
by tapping off of it, or there should be a done button. That's another way.
Conversation. Done. Button. Conversation detail. Edit. Button.
And now we're back. All right. I've already shown you, and by the way, Wednesday is allotted for even more messages fun. We're going to do an experience lab. Our very first experience lab of this class will occur on Wednesday, and that means you're going to get a chance to try this. So if you have more than one device, all right, this is not a deal breaker, but if you have more than one device, maybe don't join the meeting on your iPad. Maybe come in on your iPhone or something, and that way you'll have your iPad free to try these things. If you only have one device and it is your iPad, you can still come in on it and then just try other things, because we won't be doing a screen share that day. So you could, leave the Zoom app and you could try things and still listen. But we're going to have an assignment for you to try in class on Wednesday, and we're going to talk more about messages. I want to get comments from Sarah and Cliff if he's available. I don't know if he is, but I'll unmute both of them in a moment. Because I know they might have, there's no, I recognize that I've not covered even close to everything that you can do in messages. And some of it I covered, but rather hurriedly. There's no way you can cover everything in an app like this in one day, or as I said, probably not even 2. What I've tried to do is a variety of things to show you the kinds of things that can be done. We haven't discussed voiceover in detail today, And that's true to our word because we told you that was going to be the case. If you need to know that stuff, you got to go back and listen to the voiceover class. So how did I select text? How did I, well, you got to, I'm not deliberately trying to be difficult, but we can't teach both in the same class. It just wouldn't work. So, we've shown you some things. And some of the most common things you might want to do, showed you how to, and some of them I referenced where to do them even though I didn't demonstrate them, right? Like I couldn't show you how to create an audio recording in the Messages app because I'm already on a Zoom call, but I showed you where it is. It's under the Apps button. You could double tap and it would start recording, and then there's a stop button. You can play it back, you can delete it, you can send it. I showed you how to do message effects of all different kinds, how to schedule your message for later. I showed you where it was that you can send and receive money. We did group conversations, how to make a group FaceTime call. We did how to name the conversation, how to leave the conversation, all those kinds of things. And I will point out one other thing before I go to the others. What if you receive, because this is a common question we get, what if you receive a link in a conversation and you want to know how to access that link? The way to do that is to use the rotor. And so if you want to access a link that someone has sent you in a message, you have to use the rotor to do that with VoiceOver. So if I were to go to my DoorDash conversation, because I know that has a link in it, they send you a link to track your order. We had lunch from Wendy's today.
Dane, Viol, the cousin, Joseph, James, Tip, Linmer, plus 1, 2, 0, 1.
Now if I go
Apps, the plus 1, 2, 0, 1, 4, 6, 2, 3, 9, 8,
see if this
0.
is the one.
Your dasher has picked up your plus 1.
Okay, it's this one right here. There's a link to track your order. I can read
plus 1,
the whole
2, 0, 1,
conversation
4,
just
6,
so you
2,
can hear that.
3, 9, 8, 0. Hey Matthew, your order from Wendy's is being delivered at 1 p.m. Link, your order is missing delivery instructions. Add delivery instructions and track status at https.
Okay, so there's a link there. Now how do I access that? Well, I'm going to immediately turn the, once I've selected, you have to select the message containing the link. Now, I'm going to turn the rotor immediately to links.
Links.
And swipe down.
1 p.m. Link.
Nope, that's the time. I don't want that. But this next one, well, now it doesn't have it.
Voices.
What happened here?
Links. Apps.
I know what happened. I
1,
see what happened.
2, 0,
Hold
1,
on,
4, 6, 2,
that,
3, 9, 8, 0.
Is this the one?
Your dasher has plus 1. Links. 1 p.m.
Okay.
Link.
And the link will
Actions
be there,
available.
and all I have to do then is double tap it. Now, it's already probably expired because we, received the order a long time ago. But that's how you do it. You just swipe up or down on your list of links, and it's going to give you the whatever links are in that conversation. I'm trying to think if I have another one. I think
2. Select Lynn Murphy. Make set.
She sent me a link a while ago.
Message.
And I don't know if I can.
Your iMessage. Head to head.
I thought there was one that was just recent that had a YouTube video.
Yesterday. Lynn Murphy. Your save photo. Lynn Murphy includes picture. 12:03 a.m. button.
That
Image.
was a picture.
Actions available. Screenshot. 0. Tuesday. Your iMessage. Lynn Murphy. I will try to do the link thing for your save photo. Lynn Murphy.
Oh.
Here it is. I got it off YouTube. 12. Your iMessage.
Okay, I think I know.
3.
She didn't actually send a link. She sent a screenshot, but her husband,
Walt. Pat. Amy.
our pastor.
TTJ. Kayla. Megan.
Swipe, let's
Pat. Molly. Kid. Pat. Pin. Message.
Can I find?
Pat Murphy. youtu.be. 1:03 a.m. Link. Yout.
Now that one, see, because it's a YouTube link, you usually can just double tap those. You don't have to use links in the rotor. There was also somebody that sent me a video, and I don't know, maybe I can play that video.
Pat. Walter. Plus. Lynn. Amy. Mom. Kayla Hetzel. Awesome. Message.
Maybe I can play this.
You're up to Kayla Hetzel. I have a meeting. You're to Kayla Hetzel includes video. 11. edit
So
button.
you double tap.
Messages.
Now notice you double tap on the video, but it still says
Share button.
edit, but it
Video, action, share, button, download, reply, add reaction, done,
okay.
button, done, message, text.
And that was actually playing. The video was playing. There was a share button. There was a reply button. There was an add reaction button. So some of these things, when they're attachments, you can just double tap on them. It opens them up. It starts playing, or it gives you a play button. It presents you with all the options, and then there's a done button if you want to do that. Other ones, you might have to use links in the rotor. So I think we've given you enough to get started. Let's go back to Zoom and get the screen share ended and talk to the other instructors.
App switcher, Zoom, active, Zoom. Start. AI record captions, white, more, and more.
First wheel.
Host, Jeff, host, polls, apps, disable.
Disable our original sound. We will now stop the screen share. Praise God, we got a great crowd here. We're stopping the screen share now. Now I will get the other instructors unmuted. Here's trainer Sarah. And see if I...
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing? That was a good
Doing well.
demo.
All right. Looks like we do have Cliff at work this time. We'll make him a co-host also. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff in that app. I mean, you just can't cover every possible scenario, but
Yeah, I was wondering if we skipped by FaceTime for a reason. I mean, I know you mentioned it, but we didn't really do it. Is that to save it for another class?
well, it's more than I can't really do it while we're in Zoom. I would have to use
Right.
another device, but yeah, anything that I actually had it on the agenda to talk about on Wednesday a little bit, but like anything that you think we should add about that to explain it in more detail, we absolutely can.
Okay.
Even right now, that's fine.
Okay. There a lot for some reason there's been a lot of chatter about chat. Chatter is probably not sounds kind of rude, but I didn't mean that. Um about how to do FaceTime. And it's pretty simple, but sometimes it just becomes complicated for people who haven't been doing it.
Well, yeah,
Um,
there can be a couple extra steps, I guess, because so if you initiate it yourself from the conversation like we just did, that's probably, in my opinion, that's one of the easiest ways to do it. But if you're the recipient and it rings, it seems like sometimes it's a two-step process to answer the call, right?
right, it will either say open FaceTime or it will say just FaceTime,
Right,
sometimes.
right.
And so you can double tap on that and join the call. But and sometimes it rings and sometimes it doesn't.
Now, are
Right.
And
we
Sometimes
talking
it
about a
uses
single call or are we talking about a group FaceTime?
group group FaceTime, right?
group,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. More
Hi,
times than
Cliff.
not, hey, more times than not, it's better just to go into the FaceTime app and double tap join call. And then you have to make sure you select if you want your camera on or off, and then audio
Right,
muted coming in or whatever, and then pick it. So, I
right,
mean, there's some
right.
multiple steps there.
Right.
What one thing I was going to say though is that when you're in the call and somebody wants to mute, they don't know how to do it. You go back up to the upper right, and it will say, open FaceTime. Like, you can actually open the FaceTime app from the Messages app. And
Yes,
then it
and
will take you into the FaceTime app, and there you go. It's like right there to mute. But it
that's
says,
a very useful tool to remember because you may not, especially on an iPad with the larger screen, unless you're really, really used to it, you may not find the minimal, like the, it's not really minimized, but like the smaller um screen with the controls. It is there in the Messages
Right.
app, but
Yeah.
it's not always easy to find. But if you find that
That's the
button
other
that
thing too.
says,
If you wanted it to be a one-step process, you can actually join the FaceTime call from the messages group FaceTime.
Yes.
yes, you can. Yes.
Yes.
But then when
So
you
And
hit that
that's when it says join call.
it says join
And
call. Yep.
yeah.
And
And
then
then
when you,
and once you're in it
right.
and you have to start maneuvering and you can't find the mute, that's when
Yeah.
it's easy to go into the FaceTime. I used to, have to,
Mm,
go and find the FaceTime app.
I mean,
Right.
the easier way to do it too is just go to the status bar and it'll say phone in progress or call in progress. You can double tap that and that'll open up and take up the whole screen for you to go find mute too also.
Yeah, that does, I think, the same thing as the button that says open FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah.
And in both cases, now you then have a full screen control with the mute, the camera, the share button. Because what we didn't get to this yet. We're gonna talk about it on Wednesday, but we have talk about it now too. We have a button that allows you to share your screen. So if you want to, show somebody a YouTube video or something else, you can share your screen. And then that's not to be confused with share play, which we'll talk about on Wednesday. That's a whole other, component of FaceTime. But sharing your screen allows you to let people hear and see what you're hearing and seeing on your iPad. Now, you can also ask someone else to share their screen, and you can even, with their permission, you can take over their screen. But I don't think that works with VoiceOver yet. And I don't know how soon it'll be that it does, because that's a more visual process. But it, for sighted users, it is available. You can actually like take over somebody's screen if they allow it, and show
Yeah.
them where to tap and so forth.
I,
Last
I
time I
guess
tried
that's
it with
why I wanted
VoiceOver, it didn't work. But
yeah, I wanted to bring FaceTime up just because I think it's sort of like Pages. People think it's more difficult than it is.
right.
And to me, it seems very, very simple. And you can also send a link to the group if you have an Android user,
Yes.
and they can use the link. And
Right.
then, so it doesn't have to be just
I try to
Apple.
avoid that because you have to, when you do that, you have to admit them every time. So if they keep dropping off,
Yes.
you have to admit them in. So I try to
Then it
avoid that.
Yep.
creates almost like a
Yep.
lobby experience, a waiting room
Exactly.
experience. Yes.
Yes,
Exactly.
Yes.
I agree
But
with you.
but it is nice to know that it's out there, because if you have Android users that you frequently video chat with, it's a good way to do it. It used to be only Apple to Apple for FaceTime, and now you do have the option, and you can
Well,
really, schedule it.
I hate to give Google credit for anything, but if I got people that use an Android, I'm just going into Google Meet. I'm sorry. You look, just come on in here. Look, just make this simple, okay? That's that's my backdoor way of getting around that one. So
Yeah. Well, that would be the other option. Google Meet works with Apple just as FaceTime will work with Android.
yeah,
So, yep.
exactly.
Yep.
I came in at the very trail end. Did you talk about renaming groups and messages and stuff already? I mean, because
Yes. Yes.
so did you tell them that it is possible to rename a group with an Android user?
Yes. If it's RCS, it appears to be possible to rename. Yes. Yep.
Oh, it is. I tested it when we talked about it a couple of weeks ago because I have a couple of Android users that are on my podcast, and I asked them specifically when I renamed the group if they saw the group name, and they
Yep.
did.
And
So
they do. Yeah. Yep.
The one thing that I will say totally messes up a group is if somebody uses their email as a contact. And that just
not if it's iMessage because
it
iMessage will be anything.
well,
So
but it was an email. And you mean like an iCloud, like an
no, it doesn't have to
Apple.
be iCloud as long as it's their iMessage email. If as long as that's what they use as iMessage, there's no reason why that shouldn't work.
It totally messed it up. And I do not know if it was because he was in a different country or what, but it became an unusable. Well, you know what? It was a usable site, but the FaceTime option disappeared, like the button disappeared.
Really?
And yes, and there were ways. I finally, what I did is I deleted the that contact and reestablished it without the email.
Oh, that's
And
weird.
yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
was weird.
if it's an iMessage, it should work no problem. But yeah, we don't know the logistics on that.
Well, he's coming through his email. Yeah.
Matt, at what point wouldn't it be an RCS based on the fact that that's what everybody on Android pretty much is now? Why would it be SMS?
Well, there are some Android devices that don't support RCS, older ones or cheaper ones. There are still some that are, and a few carriers probably don't. Like, I don't know about like Mint Mobile or Visible or Cricket. Some of these smaller MVNOs, but there may be some that don't. But definitely, there are some Android devices that still don't. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it just depends.
Well, I think the Messages app is one of the most used apps on any of these devices.
Absolutely. And that's why it was pretty much first. Well, I mean, we did settings last week, but that's why it was pretty much first in the list because I think it is one of the most used, and Apple has kind of said that too. And what Apple has done with this is they've made it such that it doesn't just have to be for family, friends, and fun. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely has those components with all the cool, memojis and reactions and all that stuff. But you can also use this, with business colleagues. You can create a group conversation, for a team. You can collaborate within a document. And in fact, you can start like a pages collaboration and then whenever somebody makes changes to that document, that actually shows up in the messages conversation as well. And all of these
And
kinds
there's
of
some
things that we
businesses
can
that
do
use
with it.
iMessage that uses iMessage, not only Apple, but I forgot who it was. I think it was Lowe's or Home Depot that I was chatting with in iMessage, a few months back. So some businesses are using iMessage as a contact point also.
Oh yeah, they
Well,
call that
there's
business chat or something. Yeah, that's
yeah,
really
Right.
and
nice.
there's like like medical reminders and all sorts of stuff that comes in by text.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's partly you choose it from
right,
wherever it is that you are going, whatever business or medical facility you choose
right,
it.
right.
Um,
There's a school of thought, and I mean it's not my place. It's none of my business. People do what they want to do. That's fine, But I just commenting on this. There's a school of thought, that says that if you really want it to be professional, you should do it by email. And I think a lot of people still subscribe to that way of thinking. And I was certainly brought up that way because you didn't have iMessage and everything, But more and more businesses now are using iMessage or messaging, especially because nowadays, for most of us, we get the emails come into the exact same device as the messages do. You know what I mean? And so the thing is it's quicker if you do
I was
messages
about to say
because
I'll check my messages before I check my email.
yeah,
Me too.
exactly.
Me too.
Exactly.
If you
Exactly.
really want to get in touch with me today,
Yep.
text me.
Yep.
She
Um,
said today.
well, there's times when I'm like, I emailed you yesterday, and I'm like, oh well, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, my father, old fashioned, of course, people who when the phone rang, you answer it.
Right.
You just, like he'd say, "Oh, the phone's ringing. Answer it." And I'm like, or you could hear who's calling, and he's like, "Why would you do that?" But he kept on asking, "Why text?" And I'm like, "It's just a quick way of telling somebody something, alerting somebody to something, and not necessarily engaging like a 15
Right.
minute conversation."
I was just about to say, because if you answer the phone, you actually have to talk to the person. If Sarah sends me a text and I don't feel like being bothered with her until Thursday, I can wait till then to respond to her. So
Exactly. And you won't even have to know all my hurt feelings.
exactly, because I don't have one read or free. So
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know
Well,
if you covered that. I'm pretty sure you did, but you know that most people know that you can have individual read receipts for individual conversations, right?
um,
Yeah.
I don't know if I did mention that.
No, I don't
Yeah,
think you did.
so yeah, you can go into the info or whatever it is. You
Right.
tap on their name and you scroll down. You can turn on read receipts for individual conversations. So, say I don't want Matt and Sarah to know that I read their conversations individually, but I want my mom and my sister to know. I could go into my mom and my sister's your conversation and turn on read receipts for them so they know when I read their messages. So,
Right. And
but I don't want Sarah and Matt to know because I don't want them to know that I don't like them. So,
It's
and
funny because I really do rely on it. I'm like, they haven't answered. Did they receive? And it says delivered,
right.
right,
and it'll say
right,
delivered at what time, right? So they got it. I
right.
like that.
And that
But
is
Yep.
there,
something that works with RCS also is they do
Yep.
have read
Yep.
receipts and delivered. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
And my
So
coworker, he will not text me on my iPhone, but he will text me on my work Android phone. So I can know when he texts me and when he doesn't text me because I want more tools in my toolbox. I have learned how to use an Android and talk back. My website will always be just Apple, so don't ask me for no training on it. But where I work at, they want you to know multiple things, so I know multiple things so I can be more valuable to the team.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah. And I guess we should mention, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but again, we kind of assume that this is the more advanced class, right? If you're taking this, you've already, done the basics, but maybe not, and so I'll just mention that if you're wondering how it is that you can receive non-Apple messages on your iPad, that is a setting. So you want to enable there's actually several places you want to enable, I mean, it's personal preference, but I don't see why you wouldn't. You want to enable iCloud messages, and that's under settings and then iCloud, or settings and your name in iCloud if you want to go the long way, and then make sure messages is turned on. That's going to, sync everything. So if you delete a message on one, it deletes from the other and stuff. But then if you also want to receive the non-Apple messages, somebody sends a message from an Android device to your phone number, you want to also get that on your iPad, you have to go on your phone, and specifically on your phone, to settings, apps, and messages. And then you have to go down to, I think they call it text message forwarding. And if you tap on that, it will show you all the devices on your Apple account that will support text message forwarding. And so you're going to choose the one that's like your iPad, or you can even choose your Mac or whatever. So that's a useful
I
tool
wonder,
for you.
is that a new thing? Because it seems like we did it in a different way before.
it's been like that for the last couple of years. But you're right. Before you actually had to enter an authentication code and do it that way.
Yeah.
But now they have it where it's synced up in your messages and you select the devices and you're done. But
Yep.
on top
Yeah.
of that, Matt, if you want to get phone calls, don't you go into the phone app and say allow phone calls on other devices
Yeah,
on your
you
phone?
you can do that same thing in phone. Yep, settings, and again, you have to do this on your iPhone. Settings, and then apps, and then phone. And I think they call it calls on other devices. And you can go in there and turn that on. You can select the other devices, and that's going to allow you to
Actually, I
to
think you don't
receive the
actually
call.
have
Yep.
to. I don't think you have to select other devices. You just say yes, and it whatever other devices you have, which would normally probably be an iPad or a Mac or both, it automatically just shows up there. You don't
Oh,
have to
you
actually
might be
select the
right.
devices.
Yeah, you might be right.
Of course, you guys heard he said I might be right. He doesn't want to verify it because it pains him to
I
know that I am
Like,
right. But
that was a big admission.
oh.
yeah, for Matt it is. Might, yeah, might. Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Have an additional comment or feedback? Email us info@ttjtech.biz or info@stirritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional resources. That's ttjtech.biz or stirritup.com. And remember, subscribe to the newsletter when you're there. That way, you don't miss out on any upcoming announcements or events. Thanks for joining us. God bless, and see you next time.